Hi, welcome to Skullworthy. I'm Matt.
I'm Tiffany.
And today we're talking about Michael Wayne McGray. So some fast facts about Michael Wayne McGray. He was convicted of killing 7, but he may have killed 18 or more. He was born on July 11th in 1965. His murders took place between 1985 and 1998, and stabbing and strangulation was his preferred murder method.
You said that he had killed 7 people for sure, but he may have had up to 18?
In this case specifically, we were just counting the ones that were convicted. So he was convicted of 7 murders, and he claimed to have committed more all over Canada. So his early life was kind of typical as a serial killer, or at least according to him. He claims to have had a hard childhood. He claims to have been beaten by his father, who was also an alcoholic. And he also claimed to be a victim of sexual abuse after having been taken from his father and bounced around from reform home to reform home. He also claimed to have enjoyed animal abuse as a child. That's also pretty common with serial killers. He said that as an adult, he felt a strong urge to murder. Get this. McGray claimed to have been controlled by murderous demons that drove him to his insidious acts. After being arrested, he requested mental health treatment and was granted that request. He was assessed by multiple psychiatrists, and interestingly enough, one of the psychiatrists identified McGray as having a rare form of Tourette's syndrome that made him unable to control his impulse to murder.
Tourette's gives the impulses, but I've never heard of it giving impulses to kill.
Well, what the psychiatrist said was that it made him unable to control the impulse to kill. So it's like the impulse to kill was there, but he also had a rare form of Tourette's that inhibited his ability to stop that. His crimes started in 1985 when he committed his first murder. It was May 1st in 1985 when he picked up a hitchhiker named Elizabeth Tucker.
In 1985, was it normal to hitchhike? I mean, I would imagine that nobody in today's world would.
I think it was then, though.
That's not true. Somebody
There
would.
are still people that hitchhike, but
just a female on their own. What did you?
It was never advisable for a female to do that. I think it is kind of hard to believe because it seems like not a smart thing to do, but people do things sometimes without thinking. Then 2 years later, in 1987, he claimed another victim named Mark Gibbons. Mark was his accomplice in a robbery of a taxi driver in St. John. Surprisingly, he wasn't formally charged with this murder. In 1991, while serving time for his robbery of a taxi driver, he killed 2 men named Robert Astley and Gayton Ether. He met them at Montreal's gay village while on a 3-day break from prison. They gave him a break from prison. Do we get breaks from prison in America? Is this just a Canadian thing? Did I mention that? This was all in Canada. After meeting in the village, Robert invited McGray back to his room. Once there, McGray fatally stabbed Robert. Just 1 day later, he returned to the gay village and met Gayton Ether, who also invited him back to his room. He fatally stabbed Ether after spending the night with him, but he only confessed to these murders after being arrested for murdering Joan Hicks and her 11-year-old daughter, Nina Hicks, on February 28, 1998, in New Brunswick. In 2000, he pleaded guilty to killing Joan Hicks, but denied the murder of Nina, her daughter.
So he did end up pleading guilty to killing the mom and daughter duo, but he only pleaded to the mom.
Yeah, I find that puzzling. Maybe he didn't want to see himself as a child killer. Maybe it was one of those things.
He wouldn't do well in prison if he was convicted on that.
That could have been it, because he spent a whole lot of his life in and out of prison, and maybe it was just, I don't want them to look at me like that, so I'll admit to this one, but I'll deny the other one. But they seemed very, very sure that he did kill both of them. So in 2010, while serving life sentences for the murder of Joan Hicks and Nina Hicks, he murdered a fellow inmate named Jeremy Phillips. Before murdering Phillips, McGray was eligible for parole after serving life sentences for his previous murders. After committing the murder of Jeremy Phillips, he's been isolated in one of Canada's most secure prisons and no longer has the possibility of parole.
His cellmate, Jeremy Phillips, you said that he killed his cellmate.
He did, and the crazy thing is that he requested to be moved there from where they were to a different block. He didn't even want to be in the same block as this guy, and
instead they put him in a cell together.
Yeah, he ended up in a cell with this guy. And the other thing that was really odd about this was after this guy was killed, McGray's story was that Phillips